Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to today's Lunchtime concert. Before we go any further, may I just draw your attention to the back of your programmes and to our upcoming concerts. Next week, we have an organ recital given by Colin Walsh, who is the organist emeritus of Lincoln Cathedral. We're very much looking forward to welcoming him back. He was due to play last year, but sadly had a knee injury and had to pull out. So I'm delighted that he's back playing the organ, playing the pedals with great aplomb, and is able to be back with us next week. The following week, on the 7th of October, we welcome our own Director of Music, Christopher Borrett, accompanied by his wife, Alice, and their programme is a whole collection of songs all about the sea. It's close to the 220th anniversary of the Battle of Trafalgar, and the music includes Stanford's iconic Songs of the Sea. And then on the 14th of October, we have the last concert in our summer series, given by Lewis Kingsley Piet, and his programme is a complete collection of salon music for piano, and will be something very delightful and charming, I'm sure, to round off our summer series. And then the winter series, as you'll see, gets going on the 25th of November with an organ recital by James Thomas. We are very grateful to all the sponsorship we received throughout this series, and indeed to today's sponsor, Libby Cotton. Sponsorship doesn't quite cover all of our costs, and so we do ask if you are able to give generously at the end, particularly if you're able to use a yellow gift aid envelope to make your donation go that little bit further. We are incredibly grateful for all those donations, which ensure that this series can continue from year to year. Lastly, from me, if you have a mobile phone, please could you make sure you remember to switch it back on again at the end of the concert, because I wouldn't want you to miss any messages throughout the rest of the working day. But without any further more from me, it's my great delight to welcome a very firm friend of the Minster to give today's recital. Please give a warm welcome to Andrew Leach.
William. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The Master of the King's or Queen's Music is a post in the royal household, similar to that of Poet Laureate, granted to an outstanding musician, almost always a composer, who will compose music for important royal events and other occasions. Nicholas Lanier was the first to hold the title of Master of the King's Music, which he did from 1625 until 1666, minus, of course, the years of the Civil War. He was the court musician, a composer and performer, and groom of the chamber in the service of King Charles I and King Charles II. He was a descendant of a French family of royal musicians, the Lanière family, who were Huguenots. His father and grandfather left France to escape persecutions. Lanier's symphonias are very short, less than a minute. So I'll go straight into the second item, a voluntary by William Boyce, who was a chorister at St. Paul's Cathedral and was appointed Master of the King's Music in 1757. He refused to make a new setting of Zadok the priest for the coronation in 1761 on the grounds that Handel's setting of the anthem was unsurpassable. However, Boyce did write no fewer than 8 anthems for that coronation. This voluntary is in effect a prelude and fugue, originally for organ or harpsichord, but I think it works really well on the piano. So Lanier, then Boyce. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In Smyrna, 80 years after Boyce died, Edward Elgar was born. He became Master of the King's Music in 1924. Edward and his wife Alice visited Smyrna in 1905 while on a Mediterranean cruise. Elgar wrote, "Ashore and drove to the Mosque of Dancing Dervishes. Music by 5 or 6 people, very strange and some of it quite beautiful, incessant drums and cymbals." Later, Elgar extemporized in Smyrna. From Smyrna to Bavaria. Elgar had 6 summer holidays in Bavaria, starting in 1892. He wrote the choral work Scenes from the Bavarian Highlands in 1895, and later arranged 3 of them for orchestra and also piano in 1895. I think that the name Sonnenbichel is local dialect for sunny little hill. Max, as he was fondly called, became Master of the Queen's Music in 2004. Max made his name as an avant-garde composer. Anyone remember 8 songs from Mad King? Don't panic. Farewell to Stromness is very accessible in style. It was written as a protest against a proposed uranium mine near Stromness on Orkney. The composer lived on the neighbouring island of Hoy, near the village of Rackwick. My wife and I had a tandem holiday on Orkney and stayed at Rackwick. We walked along the cliffs above Mac's small cottage, nestling below us. Max lived on Hoy all the year round. He wasn't just a summer visitor, and he was a popular member of the community. From a composer who settled in Scotland to an actual Scottish composer, Judith Weir, whom my future wife and I had the pleasure of knowing while we were all undergraduates at King's College, Cambridge. Chorale for Steve was written in memory of Steve Stuckey, an American composer who died prematurely in 2016. The music is all on the white notes, which sounds innocent enough, but be warned, it's quirky and quite gritty. It's a sort of improvisation over a slow-moving chorale, which we hear at the end in 4-part harmony. So Max, then Judith Weir. Now, to the most substantial piece on the programme, also by Judith Weir, who writes that the art of touching the keyboard is an over-literal translation of the title of François Couperin's harpsichord tutor of 1716, L'art de toucher le clavecin. I heard Rolf Hein performing Judith's composition at the Aldeburgh Festival in 2024. Perhaps some of you were there. I thought, wow, I would love to learn this piece. It's just over 10 minutes long. Rolf Hein writes, "It is a beautiful lesson to composers everywhere in how to make the most of piano music's most fundamental pairs. Silence, sound, up, down, high, low, fast, slow, melody, harmony, sustained, short, and, of course, what gives the instrument its name, soft, loud." Judith Weir writes, "The piece begins with the player pressing single keys tentatively and ends 10 minutes later with the same repeated notes marked confident and relaxed. In the interim, the music, which is in a single continuous movement, demonstrates the many ways in which the piano keys can be touched, from the gentlest of strokes to the most vicious of blows." Sorry, piano fortissimo. Spoiler alert, there is a huge climax after about 9 minutes. Then the music dissolves into silence for about 10 seconds, but that's not the end. The final page is largely, not entirely, quiet and serene. At the end, there are 3 quiet chords of B major. Enjoy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Erilyn Wallin is, of course, the current Master of the King's Music. Incidentally, from Max onwards, the post has been for 10 years, rather than for life. Seems a good idea, really. Erilyn Wallin was born in 1958 in Belize, Central America. She has eclectic tastes, describing her favourite drink as banana daiquiri. Anyone drunk that? How'd it go?
Daiquiri.
Oh, you have daiquiri. All right. We have some experienced drinkers in the front 2 rows. Sorry about that. Her favourite sport is lacrosse. I have chosen 2 contrasting pieces by her. The first, Dream, from a book put together by Isato Kanemason, who commissioned the work. The book is described as suitable for grades 7 to 8 plus. I like the plus. The second piece by Erilyn Wallen is from Fingerprints, 19 easy contemporary pieces for piano, grades 1 to 4, right up my street. The tempo marking is Allegro with olives. But first, sweet dreams, everybody. can you spare another minute?
Yes, please.
One more composer. John Eccles. He has the distinction of being the longest-serving master of the King's music, and he served under no fewer than 4 monarchs: William III, Queen Anne, King George I, and King George II. He wrote a lot of music for the theatre. Here is a ground in F minor from The Mad Lover.